It can't possibly get worse. This statement has been proven to have the magical power of transforming a potentially bad day into a horrible one. When Peace David had muttered that her day couldn't possibly get worse, she had been unaware that she was indirectly challenging the day to do just that. At the time, she was standing beside the bus she had boarded less than an hour before. The bus had coughed angrily and then came to a stop in the middle of the express. She was anxious and tapping her feet. Her interview with Nice Food Co. was scheduled for 11 a.m. that morning, and it was already 8:15. Usually, Peace was always prepared for the worst-case scenarios, so she had woken up by 3 a.m., partly because she was too excited to sleep. She had taken a bath, confirmed that all her documents were intact, and practiced her answers to the possible interview questions. By 5:40 a.m., she had said goodbye to her mother and headed out, while ignoring her mother's complaints that she was leaving too early. Peace was only 21, but life had already handed her more challenges than most 40-year-olds. She was in her first year in university when her mother had suffered a stroke. 16-year-old Peace had been terrified and wanted to come back home to help to take care of her, but her father had insisted she focus on her studies. That same year, her older brother, Divine, was involved in a fatal car accident. In her third year, just as her mother was making a full recovery, her father suffered a heart attack and died. That same year, they lost everything her father owned to her uncles. Her mother had encouraged her to complete her education since it was just 1 year left, so she had gotten a part-time job to help support herself while in school. Few weeks before her graduation, her baby sister Joy died from pneumonia. Now, a year later, it was just Peace and her mother living in a one-room in a shared compound. The Nice Food Co job was the answer to her prayers, and she planned to land it. Although Peace left home before 6 a.m., life had planned out an obstacle course for her. First, during her bike ride from the house to the junction, a car had sped past them on the bad road and splashed a generous amount of muddy water from the potholes on her and her bike rider. Peace had calmly told the bikeman to take her back home to get changed. As was in her nature to prepare for the worst, she had ironed 3 outfits ready for the day, quickly changing into dress number 2. She neatly folded the third dress into her handbag, just in case the need arises. It was about 6:40 a.m. at this time when she came out to discover that the bikeman had left her even though she begged him to wait. She had to wait about 10 minutes more before another vacant bike came along. This time, she made it to the junction without any events and was even lucky to get on a bus that was almost full. 7:13, the time on her phone confirmed. The ride to Nice Food Co.'s headquarters was about an hour 30 minutes by car, but by commercial bus, she would get there within 2 hours. At least, that was what she calculated. Less than 10 minutes from her junction, about half the passengers alighted, and the driver insisted on filling his bus before continuing his journey. When the passengers on the bus got tired of waiting and complaining, they began to alight one by one. Peace felt the frustration in her heart begin to turn to tears. "I'm not going to cry," she muttered quietly to herself. Finally, they set off again after 20 minutes of waiting. They hadn't moved a long distance when smoke suddenly filled the bus. Panic arose as passengers yelled to the driver to stop. The bus made a sound like a dying beast and came to a stop. The male passengers helped push the bus out of the road. That was almost an hour ago now. The bus driver had gone off to get a mechanic and hadn't been seen since. He had taken off with the passengers' money. It had become clear at this point that he wasn't coming back. Peace checked her time again, 8:45 a.m. Thanks to the runaway driver, she now had barely enough money to get her to the interview and back. Peace didn't like that, but she had no choice. So when the next bus stopped beside theirs, she joined the people struggling to get on the bus. She finally got to her bus stop. The company's headquarters was a 12 to 15 minutes walk from the bus stop, and it was already 10:12 a.m. Peace decided to get a keke ride instead of walking. That way, she would be at the company in less than 8 minutes, which would leave her enough time to calm her nerves. But life wasn't done with her. Almost immediately the keke left the park. A blur went past her and her bag was gone. She screamed at the top of her voice, "Thief! Thief! Thief!" pointing at the disappearing bike man who had just snatched her bag off her lap. Now the tears she was holding in actually began to fall. The other passengers tried to console her, but the tears continued to stream down her cheeks. "What will I do?" she asked repeatedly. "All my documents are in that bag. How am I supposed to go to an interview with no document to show?" The keke rider had offered to take her to the police station to write a statement, but she declined. She was already running late. One of the passengers, an elderly woman who had sat beside her, paid her fare. She thanked her tearfully. Finally, getting to the office, she rushed to the bathroom in a bid to tidy herself up. With no way to confirm the time, she headed to the receptionist. "Good morning, ma. I'm here for the interview," she said with a forced smile. "What's your name?" asked the receptionist with a matching smile. "Peace David," she replied hopefully. The receptionist checked her computer for a few seconds and smiled. "Peace David, your interview is for 11 a.m." Peace nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Then the receptionist said, "Can I have your ID card to confirm?" Peace stood there, staring at her without blinking. When the receptionist repeated her question, a fresh batch of tears broke out. She explained all that had happened to her to the receptionist. When she had finished her story, the receptionist looked close to tears too. "I'm really sorry, my dear, and I want to help you, but without a means of identification, you wouldn't be allowed into the interview." Peace pleaded and pleaded until the woman gave in. "I will have to call upstairs to find out if anything can be done," she said at last. Peace sat at the reception and watched. People came, showed IDs and went upstairs. Same things she had planned to do when she had woken up by 3 a.m. today. After a few minutes, the receptionist asked her to go upstairs. She thanked her earnestly as she took the stairs, two at a time. When she arrived at the boardroom where the interview was happening, a stern-looking man stopped her. "Who are you?" he asked coldly. "I am Peace David. I'm here for the interview." She was still talking when he cut her off. "You're late." She tried to plead her case, but he was already walking away. He stopped, however, to give the secretary instructions not to let her in. Peace didn't give up. She waited in front of the boardroom until 1:30. All the candidates had left and the interviewers were coming out when she stopped them. "Please, sir, ma, I really need this interview. Please, give me a chance." After begging, the older woman asked for her documents and she had to blink back tears. "I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do for you," she said after Peace explained her lack of documents. She went downstairs, defeated. She had lost her bag, and with it, her transport fare back home. She had lost her phone, so she couldn't even call her friends for help. The only number she could remember was her mother's, so she decided she would beg the receptionist for her phone. When she got to the reception, the woman handed her an iPhone. "The keke man brought your phone," she said. Peace looked at the phone carefully. It wasn't her smartphone with a cracked screen. It was a neat iPhone, that was unlocked. She thanked the receptionist and walked away. First, I'll call mommy, she thought to herself. The conversation with her mother conjured more tears. Send me someone's account number. Let me make a transfer, her mother said over the phone. When you come home, we can sort the rest. Peace thanked her tearfully. Just as she ended the call, a notification popped up on the screen. Airtime balance 27,652 naira. She read it again, just to confirm the placement of the comma. Who keeps airtime of 27k plus on their phone? She asked herself. Her curiosity got the better of her. She began scrolling through the phone. There was a bank app. She clicked. It opened. No password required. The account balance had more digits than she had ever seen. All the mathematics lessons she had attended came back to her at once. Units, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. She counted to herself. Impossible, she exclaimed and began counting again. It was 2:40 p.m. at this time. Her stomach was grumbling angrily from the lack of breakfast. An idea popped into her mind. What if I withdraw some of this money? How do I withdraw it? She began going through the phone again. In the messaging app, she saw a short text. Transfer pin 2025 sent from an unknown number. It can't be, she said. Nobody in this world is this dumb, she thought. But she tried it out, transferring 2,000 naira to her account. It worked, she exclaimed loudly before looking around her. Nobody was paying attention to her. She rushed to the nearest POS and transferred 10,000 naira. As the man counted the money, she felt her heart beating loudly in her chest. A part of her expected him to ask questions, but he handed the money to her and thanked her. Who can the owner of this phone be? She wondered. This money can change our life forever, she thought. When she got to the bus stop, she watched as people struggled to get on the bus. Whoever owns this phone probably never has to do this, she said to herself. Then she got another idea. Walking away from the bus line, she walked to where the smaller cars were parked. Car drop? One of the drivers asked. She nodded and gave him her address. 17,000, he said. She couldn't keep the look of shock from her face. She was about to walk away when she remembered that she had the phone. 15k, she said. The man agreed. Let's go. Do you accept transfer? She asked as she got in. He confirmed that he did. On her ride home, Peace studied the phone some more. There was only one text message on the phone. No contacts, no pictures, nothing. Why would anybody drop a phone like this? She wondered. The phone rang suddenly, startling her. She answered automatically. Hello? She answered carefully. You haven't sent the account number. It was her mother. Mommy, don't worry. One woman helped me. I am on my way home, she lied. Her mother asked her to thank the woman and hung up. She took a deep breath and enjoyed the view. Never in her life had she had the time to just enjoy life. She paid the cab fare and walked towards her mother's shop to get the house key, since hers had been stolen along with her bag. Good afternoon, ma, she greeted as she got to her mother's shop. Her mother was a seamstress. Thanks to her, Peace always had new dresses. Her mother gave her a hug and comforted her. God will punish those thieves, her mother prayed. They will never know peace. Since they want to reap where they did not sow, they will choke and die. Their generation, mommy is okay, Peace interrupted, uncomfortable with her mother's prayer. Who knows what they may be going through to resort to stealing? Her mother gave her a look of disgust. There is nothing anybody can be going through in this life that will ever justify their taking the fruits of another person's labor. God doesn't look favorably on such people. Her mother's words added to her discomfort. She quickly changed the topic, collected the keys, and headed home, thankful that she had hidden the phone in her bra. Her mother's prayers made her restless. Peace knew her mother well enough to know that she would never see the phone as a blessing. 4:49 p.m. Her mother closes her shop around 7 p.m. She had less than 3 hours to figure out what to do about the phone. Should I hide it? For how long? And what do I do if she finds out? Peace was restless. Going through the phone again, she saw no trace of its owner. The phone was completely empty except the SMS text. She dialed the number that sent the text. It rang and rang. No response. She tried again. Still no response. This may be a sign from God, she told herself, but her mother always insists on trying something 3 times before giving up. If they don't pick up this time, I'll just move on with my life, she said to herself. Hello, a deep voice answered from the other end of the line. Good evening, sir. I found this phone on my way. The call was disconnected. Maybe it's network. She dialed again. Good evening, sir. I found this phone on my way today. She began again. Okay, the man on the other end replied and hung up. What kind of thing is this now? She pondered. 5:12 p.m. She didn't have the time for this nonsense. She called again. Good evening, sir. I found this phone, she began, but he cut her off. Yes, I've heard you. You found the phone. Thank you. Now stop calling. At this point, Peace got angry. The person on the other end sounded older, but that didn't give them a right to be rude. She called back again. Excuse me, little girl, he started, but she didn't let him finish. No, listen, sir. I found this phone, and I just wanted to confirm if it was yours, because your number is the only number that sent a message to this phone. Is the phone for you? Yes or no? Peace sounded upset. She hadn't meant to yell at him, but he was leaving her no choice. Yes, it is my phone, the man answered. He sounded tired, or maybe bored. What is the make of the phone? She asked. Excuse me? He sounded surprised. You said the phone is for you. What is the make? What color is it? It's an iPhone 16 Pro Max, 8 gig RAM, 256 gig room, black titanium. Now, amusement was evident in his voice. Peace was silent for a bit. He was clearly the owner of the phone. So why did he sound so unconcerned earlier? She couldn't understand what was going on. Do you know how much this phone costs? Forget how much it costs. How can you not use a password, even for your bank app? Don't you know you're not supposed to leave your transfer pin on your phone? Her voice rose with each question. It was when she finished she realized she had been yelling at him. Are you still there, sir? She asked when he didn't reply. So you went through my phone and even went through my bank app? He said finally. I didn't mean to, but I was having a terrible day. And then I found your phone. There was all this money on it and no way to reach the owner, she explained. I'm really sorry. I promise I'm not a thief, she continued. I was stranded after getting robbed on my way to a job interview. The keke man thought the phone was mine. I just wanted to go home. Her voice broke. She was shedding tears at this point. In her mind, she wasn't any better than the men who had snatched her bag. Did you get the job? The man asked, surprising her. No, sir. I was refused to join the interview because I didn't have my ID. My ID was in the bag that was stolen, she narrated. I'm really, really sorry. I promise I will pay back every penny I used. How? He asked. You just said you didn't get the job. I'll find a job. It might take a while, but I will, and I'll pay you back. I promise, she answered. After a moment's silence, The man spoke again. You keep making promises you can't keep. How much did you take? About 30,000, she said slowly, her heart pounding against her rib cage. 30,000, he questioned. Again, she began apologizing, tears flowing freely now. The man remained silent as she explained. You'll hear back from me, he said simply and hung up. Peace couldn't stop crying. The tears kept pouring out of her. She was on the floor for what felt like a lifetime. The buzzing of the phone shocked her. It was a text. Come to this address now. You have an hour. There was an address in the text. It was about 2 hours by bus. Peace had followed her mother to deliver clothes to a client in that estate. Is he going to arrest me? She asked herself. What if I go there and he kills me? She pondered. Quickly getting up off the floor, she grabbed her mother's handbag, shoved the sharpest knife in the kitchen into the bag, locked the door, and hurried out. She was on her way to drop the keys off when she met her mother. Quickly handing her the keys, she got on a bike and sped off, without answering her mother's question of where she was going. At the junction, she took a cab instead of a bus. A cab would save her at least 40 minutes. She played out possible scenarios in her mind. If he tries to harm me, I'll stab him. If he tries to arrest me, I'll plead with him. If he tries to drag me away, I'll run away screaming. She clutched onto the borrowed handbag tightly. The house was big and beautiful. Peace had seen houses like this before, but never up close. The security man opened the gate to let the cab in. Please, sir, can you wait for me? She begged the driver as she paid the fare. He agreed. A woman in a nurse's uniform was standing at the house entrance. My God, they are going to harvest my organs, she thought. Unzipping her bag and reaching for the knife handle. She may have spent his money, but her kidneys were definitely worth more than what she had spent. The nurse led her up the stairs, past several rooms. The house was quiet, too quiet. The sound of her shoes echoed as she walked. This is how most horror movies start, she told herself. Finally, the nurse stopped at a door. She knocked twice and opened. Go in, she said gently, the first words she had said since they started walking. Peace walked into the room, heart beating, cold sweat running down her spine, her hand firmly gripping the knife handle. The room was luxurious. The marble floors sparkled. The curtains were purple and gold. There was a glass table on one side. A huge bed sat majestically in the center of the room. A man lay in the bed, his eyes watching her carefully. A duvet covered from his feet to his chest. Peace? He asked. He was the man on the phone. She recognized his voice. Yes, sir, she nodded. Sit, he said, pointing to the comfortable plush sofa. Peace made her way slowly to the chair. The warm seat welcomed her as she sank in. Are you scared? He asked. She nodded. Her hand was still in her bag, ready to swing her knife should the situation arise. Then why did you come? He asked. She thought of his question for a moment. Why had she come? Why did she hurry to an unknown place where she wasn't sure what would happen? Because I felt guilty, she replied honestly. The man smiled. What interview were you going for when you found my phone? He asked. And with that, a conversation started. Peace told him about the job, how she had hoped she would be invited for the interview, her disappointment when they had turned her away. He asked her questions about herself, her parents, where she lived, her studies. The more they spoke, the more she relaxed. Her hand was no longer holding the knife handle, but she left the bag unzipped in her lap. One can never be too careful. An alarm buzzed by the bedside. 9:30 p.m. The nurse appeared with a tray of medications. I am very sick, you see, the man said after taking the medicine and thanking the nurse. The doctors say I'll die any day now. I'm so sorry, Peace said, blinking back tears. He waved her apology off. Don't be, my dear. I am actually excited about dying. He smiled weakly. I'll finally be reunited with my family. Then he told Peace his story. Emmanuel had lost his wife and children in a plane crash few years ago. He had been so busy with work and had sent them on a vacation alone. News of the crash had completely destroyed him. All the money he had felt like evidence of him prioritizing work over his family. When I left home this morning, I planned to throw myself off a bridge. I intentionally left my phone behind in hopes that someone would do with it better than I did, he told her. Peace wiped the tears from her cheeks. I'm happy you didn't, she said, her voice breaking. Why? He asked quietly. If you had died, I would have blamed myself, thinking you killed yourself because I went away with your phone. Emmanuel laughed. The sound was unfamiliar to him. He hadn't laughed in years. The phone in Peace's bag buzzed. It was her mother calling. Emmanuel gestured for her to answer. Do you know what time it is? Her mother's voice boomed through the phone. I'm on my way, Peace assured her. When she hung up, Emmanuel was smiling at her. I really have to leave. My mother will kill me if I don't start going now. He nodded. My driver will take you home. Peace dropped the phone on the bedstand. Before she left, she said, I will pay you back. Please, don't die until then. Emmanuel laughed again, enjoying the sound he had missed so dearly. You already have, child, he said. You have given me much more than you owe. He instructed the nurse to pack some food for her, since he had made her miss dinner. It wasn't until he mentioned it that she realized she hadn't eaten anything all day. Peace thanked him and followed the nurse happily. Just as promised, his driver took her home. As he dropped her off, he handed her a small box. From Mr. Emmanuel, he said simply. Peace accepted the box with a smile and gratitude, walking happily to her house. Her mother opened the door before she knocked. Where are you coming from? Who is that man that dropped you off? Hope you are not doing anything that will make your father turn in his grave. Peace calmed her down, then explained everything. Her mother went from being angry that Peace had taken what didn't belong to her, to being shocked that Peace went to such a place without talking to her first, then to being happy that her daughter had returned in one piece. So, what's in the box? Her mother asked. I don't know. Peace shrugged as she opened the box to reveal the phone, the same one she had just returned, along with a white envelope. Her name was scribbled on the envelope. Inside was a short letter. Thank you for making me laugh again. Now I can rest in peace. She flipped the note over, but there was nothing there. She checked the phone, and it was the same. She called Emmanuel. It rang, but no response. She called again, yet no response. The phone was answered on the seventh time. Hello, Miss Peace, a woman's voice replied. It was the nurse. When Peace asked to speak to Emmanuel, she simply replied, Mr. Emmanuel has passed on. The tears began to flow before Peace could summon them. She only heard half of what the nurse said. He had wanted her to have the phone and all that was in it. She had known him for less than a day. but she wept bitterly. Her mother held her as she cried, rubbing her back gently as she sobbed. A day that started out with the universe knocking her down at every turn ended up being the best day of her life.